we're lucky to have George from Whiskers N Paws, CFO and also current user of CDP, to share some more about the CDP usage and also like experience sharing. Thank you. Welcome, George. I think you're muted. Sorry.
Yeah. Good morning, and great to be here with you guys.
Good morning. Good morning. Do you mind to tell us more about Whiskers N Paws to start?
Sure. Whiskers N Paws is a store that provides pet products and services. Established some 13 years ago now. Initially as a pure retail store, but have developed our online sales channel over a considerable amount of time now. But it's taken us to a point today where I think we'd regard ourselves as a genuine omni-channel retailer.
All right. So from my understanding, you guys didn't start off as an omni-channel, right? You guys start off as like a traditional retail store as well, right? So what was the cause for the transition to become an omni-channel, and is there any roadblocks or difficulties you have come across?
Yeah, look, I mean, the original reason was to better serve customers. We love it when people come and visit us in the store, but that's not always practical. It's not always possible. Yet they have daily, weekly, monthly needs that they need to fulfill. So that was the catalyst to take us into e-commerce. And initially, it was a fairly, let's say, sort of pragmatic or practical sort of e-commerce site, in that our real focus was around delivery, making sure that we could work out how to get what people needed to them as efficiently and as quickly as possible.
I see. So how did you end up like sort of working with Master Concept and James in the first place? Do you mind to share a bit as well, like on that side?
Yeah. So since those early days, a lot has changed. I think on one side, our business has changed, the way we serve customers has changed, our customer needs have changed, and certainly the online channel has become more and more important. At the same time, I think the solutions that are available to businesses like ours have changed immensely. Not even every year, it seems every quarter, there's things that we can start to consider seriously that were just never on the table only a short while ago. So I think that as these opportunities present themselves, you have to look at them, because definitely I'm sure our competitors are looking at them. Certainly the general e-commerce standard that's being set by other stores, other categories, that's where our customer expectations are moving towards. So yeah, in the past, solutions that would only be available to those that were using large platforms like SAP and Oracle, in some cases, available in the iPhone store these days. So it's been a massive transition in quite a short period of time.
All right. So a question to James now, that so what did you actually do? Like, what kind of magic did you do with Whiskers N Paws to help them tackle some of the issue, I guess, or like the roadblock they are facing?
Yeah, actually magic perhaps, but we first started with actually applying a self-serve analytics platform, Mixpanel, which George and I looked at as an opportunity to help their team become more data-driven. I think it actually has worked in that regard, or at least has driven some of this data-driven questioning and insights across teams. That is the hardest part, I would say. So the tool is perhaps the easiest part. It is the humans, how they interact with the platform itself is the most important part. So also with the training with George's teams as well, and helping them with onboarding is a really important part. But the idea with what it's evolved to. So we started with Mixpanel, and our idea between George and I was to eventually evolve this platform out into a more of a larger CDP from the get-go, actually. I do recall that. And I think one of the things you told us, George, is you're interested in digital transformation as a whole. Just looking at transformation to become more digitally driven. And we had some really good answers, and perhaps I would say a roadmap. We had this idea from even the start of different phases. And we didn't start with a CDP to start with. We added it in later on. And it goes to show again, you can add a CDP into your existing data stack or your tool stack or visualization strategy. You don't have to start with the CDP, which is a really important point, first of all. And it's actually, it would be the same effort required for both, I would say, typically. But the CDP, now that we've launched just recently, actually has helped George, Whiskers N Paws actually get customer data or purchases, for example, from offline sources, as well as their historical data as well. So actually being able to actually understand customers over their lifetime, which before was only from when we implemented Mixpanel on the Shopify store, for example, from say that time onwards, as opposed to the actual full spectrum of the customer journey with the CDP.
Excellent. So George, what happened when at first James proposed to you to like a CDP solution? I think many of the people from first learning about this might think this is such a big project and it could be leading to where could this lead, and there definitely hesitation, I think, when people think about this, right? It's a big sort of like an investment, and then it's sort of new as well. So tell us more about that from that aspect.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the concept of a roadmap was incredibly important for us, and really starting by understanding just where you are today, and certainly to have a vision that you want to move towards. I think that understanding where you are today, there are a couple of key parts to it, but it's not just about the technology or the solution, because you can build it, you can build whatever you want, but are you going to utilize it effectively? And that's as much about our team and how our team's organized and our experience and training and our willingness to use new platforms. So we decided to sort of take a more of an incremental journey. And the thing that we liked about the CDP is that you can build it as you are ready to use it. You don't need to do it all at once, or you don't need to commit to an all-in platform. Certainly as we're looking around, trying to navigate different solutions is honestly very overwhelming. It's very difficult to really determine what is the best platform for your use case. And in particular, we felt somewhat I guess tentative about committing to the all-in platforms. Even though you don't need to sign up for every module all at once, it just felt like it really limited our options as we went down that roadmap, because also you need to be flexible, as your internal capabilities change, as other solutions in your tech stack change. I've found that flexibility is very valuable here. So, I mean, they were sort of the key things that started us on that CDP journey. I think the advantages that we've realized through it. I think one thing is really that we get good visibility across our entire platform. Data visibility, that is. And I'd say in the past we'd sort of run according to consolidated monthly results. Now we're a lot more adaptable, and we can sort of zoom in and zoom out in real time in what we think is important. And so that flexibility of being able to report your data in many ways over many different periods and timescales on demand, and in the past that was something that was very difficult to achieve. I think the other thing is consistency of measurement. I find when you're using different solutions, whether it be for your messaging, or whether it be for your paid media, whether it be for your customer service, trying to reconcile data from different solutions is next to impossible. Every platform seems to have its own way of measurement, and whenever we'd add up, for example, conversions in each channel, it would always add to more than 100%. And so, the nice thing with putting it through the CDP is that we can develop a consistent basis for measurement across all of our solutions. And and that takes a lot of ambiguity, takes a lot of confusion out of the data, and that's very, very helpful.
So I think one last question for both James and George. What do you guys see for what have CD gave you, or what are you anticipating this platform will brings to you, aside from just the topics that like the positive points that you have brought out earlier, George?
Yeah, look, I think, you know, it's the one point I made earlier is really, CDP is sort of a step for businesses like ours towards, you know, being genuine sort of data-led businesses, and what's available today is something that was only the domain of the SAPs and Oracles, literally a few years ago. So I think that, these CDPs is becoming more accessible, more user-friendly. I think more and more people in the marketplace, when you're looking at building teams, are going to have experience with CDP. And I do think that it'll be the benchmark, not just for very large enterprises, but for almost any digital enterprise in the future. Now there's a process there. Not everything is available at a reasonable cost today. But I think you need to start to build up awareness and knowledge today so that you're ready to take advantage of it when it does become available. There is considerable investment on the human resources side of really utilizing these platforms well.
Anything to add, James?
No, I think what George just said, and the way he said it as well, was very, very clear. And I think I couldn't say it better than him, honestly, at that point, because comparison to the old systems as well, Oracle and whatnot is a really good example. And just the, it does still cost a bit of money, but in comparison to what it used to be, I think what George ended off on was a really important point. I can't stress it enough. Was the human part of it as well is really important. And it's kind of like, is your team able to maintain that system? Are they able to actually utilize that system? And I would say the older legacy systems, which I actually honestly steer away from as much as I can, would be that kind of platform that requires, more human capital to maintain, more people to actually get trained on it. For example, a platform like Mixpanel, I think some of your team might find it difficult to use or find it a little bit confusing at first. But maybe you could mention as well if it was easier, maybe after a training session or two and learning more about the platform, because if I were to even compare like Mixpanel reports to building a report on Looker or Tableau of equal type, or even on Excel, for example, it would just take, will even be impossible for some people, I think, right, to even train within a single session. So I think some parts there as human capital is an important part. I think you mentioned too. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, the problem.
Thank you for sharing these valuable experience with us. Oh, is there any way you want to add as well, George? Sorry.
I mean, I was just going to comment on what James said. Is that I think probably all of us feel overwhelmed by the amount of data that we encounter every day. And so from a team and from a company direction point of view, building up your sort of data literacy, I think is something that we all need to do, and really having a sense of what to pay close attention to and what to filter out. When your data is spread over many different platforms or solutions or dashboards, it's really difficult to do that. This doesn't solve, moving in this sort of consolidated or unified direction doesn't solve all of those problems, but it is at least a step in the right direction.
Excellent. Thank you.